Welcome back then everybody to Formula 1 Weekly, your weekly F1 news show over here on the F1 Reviews channel. Big week in terms of subscriber counts on this channel. Little milestone, 1k subs. We're one off on the time this is being recorded. Hopefully by the end of the day we can reach 1k. Mega stuff from you guys. Thank you so much. And this isn't really a special video to celebrate, but tomorrow I'm really busy, but I'm thinking about a few different bits and bobs that I might do tomorrow. Maybe I've been thinking about doing a video showing off my F1 collection, all the bits and bobs I've got. That was an idea. Just something a bit different. I've never really seen anyone put that out there before, so that was an idea. I'm also thinking of starting a new review series of the F1 Racing magazine. Each month they release a magazine. I used to collect it every month. I then stopped, but I've recently started getting back into it and thought I might do a review of that each month, so I might do that tomorrow. But hey ho, you're here for this week's news in the world of Formula 1. One big story for sure, one massive story. No racing, very quiet week on terms of on-track action, but big story in terms of the 2019 rule changes. We also got a few very minor stories, but let's start off, like I say, with that big story, the F1 2019 rule changes. 3 big changes that have been announced so far by the FIA. The first being the heavier driver disadvantage. That's now going to go away. So, if you're a taller driver, aka Brendan Hartley, Nico Hülkenberg, you're at a disadvantage because currently how the system works is that there's a minimum weight for the car, and driver weight and car weight are put together to make that overall weight. Now you'd think, oh well, that just balances out, you know, if you're a lighter driver, your car's a bit heavier. If you're a heavier driver, your car's a bit lighter, so it's equal. Well, you'd think that's how it works, but what happens in reality is that some of the heavier drivers miss out on particular suspension settings, balance settings, because they have to have a lighter car, which means they miss out on tiny little details. Even suspension detail, I'm just talking tiny minor little details, little changes that they have to make. But as we know, changes in Formula 1, a tiny little thing can mean a massive amount of difference. You just hear the drivers every weekend saying oversteer, understeer, a tiny little tweak, and it can go completely the other way. And so these guys that are heavier are at a disadvantage because they do not have as much freedom with setups, with balancing. So, the new changes. The idea is that the cars and drivers will be separate. Okay, so this is great for all drivers really. The smaller drivers, they're not going to have an advantage. It's not a huge advantage anyway, but every little helps, to be perfectly honest with you. And what it will be is that the car and driver will be measured separately. So the cars will just be the same, but the drivers will now have a minimum weight of 80 kg. What this means is that heavier drivers, this should help them out loads. They should have no issue with this. And lighter drivers, if they are not at that 80 kg minimum, then they will have to have a ballast installed into their car adjacent to the driver's seat. And what that really acts as is just a weight to balance out the difference. So it shouldn't make any huge difference, but the key reason for this, like I say, is to get rid of that differential, making sure there's no advantage for size, for being a smaller driver. And it's a nice little change. And I tell you what, the form Hülkenberg's been on this season, imagine if that's just a slight change, that can propel him up even more. I mean, we already think, or I do at least, I think he's one of the better drivers on the grid, but this will make him even quicker. Great stuff for the taller guys, and this might even spice up the battle between Hartley and Gasly and Toro Rosso, smaller battles down the field. You know, Ericsson and Leclerc, will this increase Ericsson's speed a little bit? Who knows, but nice little change from the FIA there. You might think it's nothing major, but it's just those little tweaks, those little ironing out that F1 sometimes needs to do every year, and this is definitely a positive change. The next change, perhaps the most controversial of the 3 changes, perhaps the biggest change, is the fuel increase. So currently the cars run on 105 kilograms of fuel. Yes, it's done in kilograms, not litres. I don't know why, but that's just how it rolls in Formula 1. Always fussy, always awkward. Up to 110 kilograms, an extra 5 kilograms on that fuel load. Now, in theory, this should allow the drivers to push flat out all race long. No lifting and coasting whatsoever. In reality, that's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. Tyres are still going to be the big dictator, in my opinion anyway, and I think it's different now with the tyres changing. Now they're much wider than the old Pirellis we used to use, but still, tyre pressures, tyre management, tyre degradation, that's still going to be the issue, for sure. 100% that's going to be the issue. And nurturing that is, I'd say, 75% of lifting and coasting. Yes, some Grand Prix, you have to look after fuel a lot more. We're all aware of that. I'm pretty sure big F1 fans will be 100% aware that this has been an issue for quite some time. Fuel consumption and tyres, those two come hand in hand in my opinion, and one of those has been addressed, which is great. But I still think the tyres just jump off the cliff a bit too quickly. But I could be proved wrong. Maybe it's fuel consumption all along. Maybe that's the big one. Maybe once that's sorted, then the tyre problem will go away. And then we'll see more interesting strategies, which in China, the tyres really were the saviour for that race. And so they've got to find a happy medium, a happy balance, where the drivers are happy they can constantly push flat out, but also there's a spectacle of the strategy, which many fans watch Formula 1 for. I know when I've tried to explain why I watched F1 to people in the past, I've said it's all about the strategy, the tension, waiting for those moves, but also waiting to see what the teams are going to do with their drivers, their two drivers. People don't get that sometimes. So Liberty and the FIA have got to find a happy balance, and fingers crossed, with this change and increase in fuel, that should fix a few things. They might go back to 105 the following season, but it's just a test, I feel, here. I think it's a positive change, but I'd love to know what you guys think. Mark Priestley, former McLaren mechanic, he posted a video on YouTube. I quite like his channel, actually. It's not professionally done, and it's not in a calm manner, but it's something a bit different in the world of F1. I'm reading his book at the moment, The Mechanic, and I definitely recommend you read that book and you head over to his channel. He's got some good stuff over there. A little bit different, not everyone's cup of tea, that's for sure, but I quite like it. Anyway, what I'm trying to get on to, he's very against this change. He thinks that lifting and coasting isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes you've got, say, perhaps a Ferrari lifting and coasting a Haas driver, pushing flat out. That's the two strategies they are on. And it mixes up the grid. I don't think I see it that particular way myself, but I'd still love to know what you guys think. Different opinions are surely going to circle around this topic. Love to know what you guys think. That's the big talking point this week for sure. The final change for the 2019 rules is new gloves for the drivers. New gloves, you heard me right. The things that go on the driver's hands called gloves, they got new ones for next season. And the big change with the gloves is they're now going to have body sensors in. So this means they're going to be detecting drivers' pulse as well as their oxygen amounts in their blood. Sounds a bit boring, but all it is designed for in incidents such as Pascal Wehrlein in Monaco last year, where he flipped upside down into the barrier. Sainz in 2015 in Russia, when he went straight into the barrier and they couldn't see his head or get to him. The idea is that the medical team are sometimes unable to reach the driver instantly. And with these gloves, they're going to instantly know the difference between the driver's heart rate, blood pressure, that sort of thing, before the crash, during the crash, and after the crash. So they'll see if the driver's conscious, they'll see if there's an issue, those sort of things, if team radio is not available and the medics can't get there. So it's a little change that I'm actually surprised hasn't been in F1 before. It seems all this technology, we've had the Halo before we've had gloves that can detect BPM. I mean, that's a bit odd. I mean, I don't think I'm the only one in thinking that either. That's quite strange, but hey-ho. Formula 1 sometimes does baffle you a bit, but they're the three main changes for 2019 we've seen so far. I imagine there'll be quite a few more, but early days, early doors, only third race of the season. Still got hundreds to go, it feels like, but they're the big changes, and I'd love to know your opinions on them down in that comment section. Right, next story. F1 Fantasy. Something I've been hyped for quite some time. It's been there lingering on the website but never coming out. It just says coming soon. Pretty awkward, but it's here. It's finally here. 3 races in and we finally got F1 Fantasy official. It's open now on the official Formula 1 website, so sign up. I've not made the league yet. I don't think I'm gonna. I think I'm just gonna this season just stick it out just in the World League, the UK League. Just see how it goes. See how many people use it come the end of the season, and the next season I might do a league. But if you guys want me to do one, I can always give it a bash. Why not? It's just a bit of fun, and I've signed up already, like I say, and I would recommend you guys doing it as well. Just a bit of fun every weekend, just seeing how you're doing, your predictions. It's a good way of getting involved, seeing how good you are at predicting, because some of you guys talk the talk in the comments section, but you also don't walk the walk in some of your predictions I've seen. But others, you're not bad at predicting, that's for sure. I know this season I've not got a single winner correct, so yeah, not the best start in terms of my predictions, but hey yo, F1 Fantasy would 100% recommend it. And really, those are the two in terms of big stories this week. That's it. Pretty dry this week. We've got F1 Esports officially launching today, I believe it is, their second season, so watch out for that. But we've got a few minor stories, a few sort of gossipy stories. The first isn't really a gossip story, but John Booth used to be big man, big boss over at Manor, moved to Toro Rosso, and he's now going to be leaving his position at Toro Rosso. So what does that mean for the future of him? I don't really know. He might move away from Formula 1 for a bit. He might move, or might be set up for a move for another bigger team. Maybe McLaren. Maybe working behind the scenes. Maybe a Haas. Maybe he's jumped ship from Toro Rosso to look at Haas. Maybe he's going to move to Red Bull. But I'd put my money on just moving away from Formula 1 for a bit and just taking a chill pill. Just stepping back. That's why. There's no announcement of when he's going to be leaving the team, but it has been announced that John Booth will be leaving Toro Rosso. And the other big story, the final thing I'm going to leave you on today, is a story produced by Spanish newspaper Diano Gol, and it's also been reported in the UK by the Daily Express, and it's also been mentioned by myself in one of my previous videos last week, and that is regarding the future of Fernando Alonso. Those two newspapers have reported and come out and officially said that Fernando Alonso will retire at the end of this season and will be replaced by Lando Norris. That's a mighty claim. Like, I think we all know it's probably going to happen that Alonso will be replaced by Norris. I think we're all pretty certain about that. But at the end of the season, come on, that's lazy journalism, surely. That is so early on, and there's no way that Fernando Alonso would let these newspapers leak this sort of information before himself. There's no way. Dodgy stuff. First time I've come across real dodgy journalism. I mean, we had that Rich F1 story earlier on in the season, but quite a few outlets did report that. This is trash. Not impressed from the Daily Express or that Spanish newspaper there. They're probably right in what they're saying, but to officially announce it, that is just not on. But I want to know your guys' thoughts about this week's news in Formula 1. That 1K goal, guys. We're nearly there. I said at the end of 2018, if we could have 500 subs, that would be mega. But to smash double that already, and it's April, bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. Thank you so much for watching once again. Tomorrow, like I said, I'm very busy tomorrow. Probably won't be releasing a documentary tomorrow as planned, but who knows. So I'm thinking, like I say, I'll do a bit of a special video tomorrow, hopefully for 1K subs. Fingers crossed. You never know what could happen. It could go down, but fingers crossed 1K subs for tomorrow. Wednesday, I'm thinking about doing another live Q&A. That went really well the first time, but that was during the Easter holidays, the half term, so a lot of you guys were free, so I don't really know how that works. I might do it, I might not. But guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this week's episode of Formula 1 Weekly. I want to know what you think about today's stories in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, guys, as always. If you could like and subscribe, that would mean the world to me, especially as we're nearly at 1K. That notification bell helps so much as well. YouTube's a bit of a pain at the moment, not showing people subscriptions that have come up, which is a bit annoying, but hey ho, you can only give what you got. But that was an awful saying, give what you got. I think it's time to stop, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.